This message isn't early, it's arriving just in time. And for some of you, it might already be too late. Between May 17th and 23rd, something subtle but potent is unfolding, and most won't even notice, not because they weren't warned, but because they didn't think the shift would touch them. This isn't just another moon phase. It's moving through a series of cosmic alignments that won't politely ask for your attention. They'll demand it, because between now and the 23rd, what feels off isn't random, and what feels still isn't safe. If you think this is a normal week, think again. You're already standing in the middle of it. On May 17th, the moon begins a descent, one that doesn't just pass through space, but stirs something ancient within us. This is not just movement, it's initiation. The moon slips into its third quarter, forming a tense square with Saturn and brushing against Venus's gaze, an emotional confrontation disguised as a quiet week. But don't be fooled. This is the moment where cosmic friction becomes personal reckoning. Saturn applies pressure like a spiritual audit, asking you to account for the things you've ignored. Venus amplifies the ache in your heart, reminding you of what you desire and what still hurts. Energetically, this alignment unearths buried tensions. Old fears resurface. Emotional currents run deeper than logic can follow. You may feel tired, restless, nostalgic. This is not weakness, it's awareness, because what you do during this window reshapes what follows. So if you feel something deeper calling you to face what you've avoided, drop a comment below and say, "I'm ready." This week doesn't arrive like a storm. It arrives like a mirror. On May 20th, as the moon moves into its last quarter, it doesn't just mark a phase, it cracks open the quiet parts of your life where you've been living on autopilot. What does that look like? Maybe it's the way you keep smiling in conversations that drain you, or the way you say, "I'm fine," when you haven't felt fine in weeks. This isn't about dramatic breakdowns, it's about the slow unraveling of the truths you've outgrown. When the moon aligns with Saturn on May 22nd, things might start to feel heavy. But it's not punishment, it's perspective. Saturn doesn't ask questions gently, it drops mirrors in front of you and walks away. And you're left staring. Do you like what you see? Are you proud of how you show up in your relationships, in your work, in the quiet moments no one else witnesses? What rules are you still following that were written by someone else? We all carry maps made by other people, parents, teachers, friends, partners. They told us who we should be, how to live, what success looks like, and maybe you followed that path so long you forgot to ask, is this even my road? By May 23rd, as the moon drifts toward Venus, emotions soften, but that doesn't mean they weaken. This is the kind of tenderness that calls for courage. Venus doesn't just whisper about love and beauty. She asks, where have you stopped showing up for yourself? Maybe you've poured yourself into others, believing that self-sacrifice is love. But where has that left you? What parts of yourself have you silenced just to keep the peace? It's easy to ignore those questions when life is loud. But this week, the universe is turning the volume down, so you can finally hear your own voice. Not the filtered one, not the polite version, the real one. And here's the thing most people miss. Clarity isn't always clean. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. Sometimes it looks like crying in your car or sitting in silence long enough to realize how exhausted you've been. But that discomfort, it's the moment just before the breakthrough. It's the feeling right before something inside you finally lets go. This is not about fixing everything at once. It's about pausing long enough to ask the hard questions. What am I still tolerating that's keeping me small? Who am I when I stop performing? And what would it look like to finally stop waiting for permission to change? Not everyone around you will understand the shift you're going through, and that's okay. Growth rarely gets applause in real time, but that doesn't make it any less sacred. It just means you're walking a path most people are too afraid to step onto. Let this week be the turning point. Not because the moon said so, but because deep down, you're tired of pretending you're okay when you're not. This week is like standing at the edge of a dense forest at twilight. The path isn't clear, but you can feel the pull to move forward. The moon's dance with Saturn and Venus isn't just a celestial event. It's a call to walk deeper into your own inner wilderness, to navigate the tangled undergrowth of old fears, expectations, and worn-out stories that no longer serve you. But how do you take that first step when the shadows feel so long, when the familiar is uncomfortable, but the unknown is terrifying? Start by remembering that you don't have to rush. Transformation isn't a sprint. It's a careful, deliberate walk. Picture yourself carrying a heavy backpack filled with old doubts, unspoken regrets, and toxic habits. What if this week offered a chance to set that pack down just for a moment so you could rest, breathe, and see the path with fresh eyes? Begin there. Give yourself permission to release what weighs you down. That might mean speaking a truth you've been avoiding, or setting boundaries that feel scary but necessary. It's not weakness to say enough. In fact, it's the bravest act of all. When the moon meets Saturn on May 22nd, the energy presses you to face reality without the filters or fantasies. This can feel like standing in front of a cracked mirror that distorts and refracts light in unpredictable ways. You might not recognize all the reflections you see, but that's exactly the point. What you're looking at isn't the whole story. It's the fragments waiting to be pieced together into a clearer image of who you are. This week asks you to become the artist of your own reflection, to decide which pieces to keep, which ones to discard, and which might need reshaping. Ask yourself, what patterns have I repeated because they were easier than facing the truth? Which relationships or habits have become comfortable prisons? Sometimes, the hardest part is admitting that what once worked for us now holds us captive. But here's the beautiful paradox. Freedom begins the moment you acknowledge your chains. On May 23rd, when the moon drifts toward Venus, the energy softens, offering the balm of self-compassion. This isn't about instant fixes or quick answers. It's about honoring the journey, no matter how winding or painful. Imagine holding your heart like a fragile seedling, delicate but full of promise. What would happen if you treated yourself with the same kindness you reserve for others? Start small. Maybe it's a moment of stillness each day to check in with yourself, or a simple ritual that reminds you of your worth, a warm cup of tea, journaling, or even a quiet walk in nature. These acts aren't just self-care, they're declarations that you deserve space to heal and grow. The universe is not asking you to do this alone. Look for allies, friends, mentors, or communities who see your true light and encourage you to shine brighter. Connection is the thread that weaves strength into our souls. Yet, the real magic happens when you learn to be your own sanctuary. When external validation fades and you realize the most powerful love is the one you give yourself. This week's energies are urging you to build that inner fortress, strong enough to weather storms, gentle enough to nurture your dreams. Transformation isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. It's the courage to stand in your truth, even when the world demands you wear a mask. Consider the habits you want to change. What small, deliberate choices could you make to honor your true self? Maybe it's as simple as saying no without guilt, or choosing rest when you usually push harder, or speaking up when silence has been your default. Every choice is a thread in the fabric of your new reality. The moon's passage invites you to rewrite your story with intention, to shed the parts that were written out of fear, obligation, or doubt, to reclaim your narrative and walk it with fierce tenderness. And here's a secret. Every step you take in this direction sends ripples far beyond what you can see. The courage you muster doesn't just change your life, it shifts the energy of those around you. You become a beacon for others who are still lost in the dark. So, this week, cultivate patience with yourself. Expect setbacks. They are part of the process, not a sign of failure. Remember, the tallest trees weather the harshest winds because their roots run deep. Plant your roots in truth. Water them with compassion. And trust that even the darkest nights give way to dawn. This week of May 2025 carries a quiet intensity, like the pressure before a storm breaks, unseen but deeply felt. It asks for a kind of vigilance that is calm, not frantic, steady, not desperate. Think of your inner world as a garden in late spring. The soil is ready, but the seeds you plant now will need careful tending. What are you planting? Old doubts or fresh hopes? Familiar habits or new beginnings? Ask yourself what kind of energy you want to cultivate. It's easy to fall back into familiar patterns because they feel safe. But safety doesn't always mean growth. Sometimes safety is the very thing that keeps you stuck. This week, the cosmos nudges you to question what is truly serving your highest self and what is just comfortable noise. When the world feels overwhelming, the most radical act can be to create space for stillness. This doesn't mean shutting down or hiding. It means opening up to your inner truths without distraction. It means listening to the soft, often ignored parts of your soul that have been whispering beneath the surface. In that quiet space, you'll find clarity, not always the kind you expect, but the kind that reveals what must change. You might feel a tightening in your chest or a stirring in your gut. Those sensations are not your enemies. They are signals guiding you toward deeper understanding. This week encourages you to embrace discomfort as a teacher. Resistance often masks growth. When you notice yourself pushing back against change, ask, what am I afraid to lose? And beneath that, what am I afraid to become? Consider the relationships that fill your life. Not just the obvious ones, but those subtle connections that drain your energy or keep you tethered to old versions of yourself. Are you holding on because of fear, obligation, or guilt? What might happen if you loosen those ties? Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, not selfishness. It creates the room needed for new energy to flow. Imagine your life as a vessel. What happens when you clear out what no longer fits? The space left behind becomes fertile ground for something unexpected and beautiful. In moments of uncertainty, grounding yourself is essential. This week, find ways to anchor your energy. That might be through movement, walking, stretching, dancing, or through breath work, meditation, or simply sitting with a quiet cup of tea. These practices aren't distractions, they are the roots that hold you steady. Remember, change rarely unfolds in a straight line. There will be days when clarity shines brightly and others when the fog returns. Both are necessary. Both are part of the rhythm of transformation. The moon's influence this week offers a balance between discipline and grace. It challenges you to face hard truths with courage, while also honoring your need for tenderness and rest. This is the dance of growth, strength paired with softness. If you find yourself overwhelmed by the magnitude of what's possible, break it down. What is one small action you can take today that honors your truth? Sometimes the smallest step is the most powerful. Allow yourself to lean into the unknown with curiosity instead of fear. What if the future you imagine isn't the only possibility? What if what you need is waiting in the unexpected, the unplanned, the messy middle? This week, the stars invite you to become a pioneer in your own life, to chart new territories within your heart and mind, even if the map isn't fully clear yet. Trust the process, even when the way forward feels uncertain. And when doubt creeps in, as it will, remind yourself of your resilience. You have weathered storms before. You have faced challenges that seemed insurmountable. This moment is no different, except that you are stronger, wiser, and more ready than ever. So hold steady, keep breathing, keep choosing yourself with intention and courage. Transformation isn't a destination, it's a continuous unfolding. And this week, you have the opportunity to be both the gardener and the seed, the nurturer and the growth. Your journey is unique. Your pace is your own. But know this, every step toward your truth ripples outward, touching lives in ways you cannot yet see. This moment right now is more than just a point on a calendar. It is a threshold, a place where everything you've been carrying, all the heaviness and hesitation, meets the possibility of release. The energy you feel stirring beneath the surface isn't random. It is the universe handing you a key, an invitation to step into something larger than the story you've been telling yourself. Think about how often you've waited for the right time. How many times you told yourself, "Soon, I'll be ready," or "When things settle, I'll make my move." That waiting, that hesitance, it's understandable. It's human. But this week isn't asking for patience. It's demanding presence. It's asking you to wake up to your power right now. There is something sacred in this tension, the space between who you were and who you're becoming. It's uncomfortable because transformation is never gentle. It shakes the foundations of what feels safe and familiar. But within that shaking lies a profound invitation to shed old skin and emerge renewed. What would it mean for you to claim this moment, to stop postponing your truth, your passion, your deepest desires? What if you could harness the restless energy within you and turn it into fuel? Fuel for growth, for healing, for bold new beginnings. This week, the cosmos amplifies that potential. The forces at play are aligned to break through the barriers that have held you back. The moon's meeting with Saturn marks a powerful test of your resilience and commitment to yourself. Saturn doesn't tolerate shortcuts or excuses. It demands integrity and focus. When the moon drifts toward Venus, it brings the energy of love and harmony, reminding you that even in challenge, grace is available. Together, these celestial influences create a dynamic tension. Hard truths softened by compassion, boundaries held with kindness. This is your invitation to step into that balance, to face your shadows without losing sight of your light. What are the stories you've been telling yourself about what's possible, about who you are? This week asks you to rewrite those narratives with courage, to stop being a passive observer in your own life and become an active creator. Imagine yourself standing at the edge of a vast ocean. The waves represent your fears, doubts, and past disappointments. They crash and roar, threatening to pull you under. But beyond that storm lies a horizon full of light and possibility. What if, instead of retreating, you dove into the waves, letting them wash over you, cleansing you, and carrying you forward? Transformation often feels like surrender, but it is also an act of fierce strength. It means trusting yourself to navigate the unknown, to face uncertainty with an open heart and a steady mind, to say yes to growth, even when it demands sacrifice. This is not about perfection. It's about showing up, about choosing to be present with whatever arises. Because that presence, that willingness to face life fully, is where true power lives. You've been preparing for this, even if you haven't realized it. The challenges, the struggles, the moments of doubt, they've been forging you, like steel in the fire. This week is the hammer striking, shaping you into something stronger. Don't underestimate the significance of this time. The shifts you're experiencing are not just internal. They ripple out, affecting your relationships, your work, your sense of purpose. When you step into your power, you change the energy around you. You become a beacon, not just for yourself, but for others seeking their own light. There is a fire within you waiting to be ignited. It may flicker with hesitation or doubt, but it is alive. Nourish it with intention, with commitment, with love. Let it grow until it blazes through the darkness. The turning point is a call to action, to break free from anything that no longer serves your highest good, to release fear, resentment, old patterns, and limiting beliefs, to choose courage over comfort. What would it look like to fully embrace your potential, to step out of the shadows and into your own spotlight? This moment is your chance to rewrite the script, to become the author of your story, rather than a character caught in someone else's plot. Yes, it will require bravery. It will require vulnerability. It will ask you to confront parts of yourself you might have long avoided. But within that confrontation lies liberation. Picture yourself shedding layers of doubt and fear like autumn leaves. With each layer, you feel lighter, freer, more aligned. The weight of past disappointments begins to dissolve, replaced by a renewed sense of possibility. The challenge now is to commit, not just once, but repeatedly, to return to this moment of power when doubt creeps in, to remind yourself that the shift is happening within you, even when the external world seems slow to change. This is your invitation to choose growth over stagnation, clarity over confusion, and love over fear. There will be moments when you falter, when the old voices in your mind try to pull you back into old patterns, when uncertainty threatens to overwhelm you. Remember, those moments are part of the process, not the end of the journey. Hold fast to your vision. Anchor yourself in the truth that transformation is a path walked step by step, day by day. The moon's journey toward Venus promises that love and grace will accompany you. This isn't about perfection or immediate results. It's about steady progress and self-compassion. So, what will you choose? Will you continue to live small, confined by fear and doubt? Or will you rise, bold and unshaken, ready to claim the life waiting for you? The power is in your hands. The moment is here. Rise, step forward, embrace your truth. And when you do, know that you are not alone. You are part of a vast cosmic dance, a collective movement toward awakening and empowerment. So here is the challenge. Look within and ask, what is holding me back? What story do I need to let go of? What new story am I ready to write? Share your answer below. Speak your truth. Declare your readiness. because the first step in any transformation is acknowledging your power and choosing to wield it. This week is your moment. Don't let it pass quietly. Let it roar. The power to change your life doesn't come from outside. It's already inside you, waiting for the right moment to be awakened. This week of May 2025 is more than just a passing phase. It's a portal, a gateway inviting you to step through into a new reality crafted by your own intention and courage. Imagine the weight you've been carrying, the doubts, the fears, the what-ifs. What if you could set those down? What if you could stop carrying the burden of not enough and instead stand tall in the knowing that you are enough, exactly as you are? The moon's dance with Saturn challenges you to do just that, to face what's heavy and rigid and decide what you will carry forward and what must be released. This is also a moment wrapped in the gentle yet powerful energy of Venus. As the moon drifts toward Venus, it reminds you that transformation doesn't have to be harsh or lonely. It can be tender, full of self-love and grace. It's about finding harmony within the storm, discovering peace even when the winds are fierce. You might ask yourself, what would it look like to treat myself with kindness in the middle of this change? How can I honor my emotions without letting them control me? How can I be both strong and compassionate? These questions are not just philosophical, they are practical guides. They invite you to build resilience rooted in self-care and understanding. This week invites you to find that balance. Remember, true transformation is never rushed. It's a steady unfolding, a gentle breaking open that reveals your inner light. And with every challenge this week brings, there is a chance to rise stronger, more aligned, and more empowered than ever before. This week isn't just another moment on the calendar. It's a crossroads where the cosmic and the personal meet, where the whispers of the moon's journey call you to awaken. The energies at play right now are urging you to pay attention, not just to what's happening outside, but to what's stirring deep within. There's an urgency here, yes, but it's not about panic. It's about presence, about recognizing that what you do with this moment matters profoundly. You've heard the warnings. You've felt the undercurrent of change. Now it's time to step fully into what this week offers. The chance to release what no longer serves, to confront the shadows you've avoided, and to embrace the power that has always been inside you. This is your invitation to move beyond waiting and watching, to act, to choose, to create. Transformation is rarely easy. It's a process that tests your limits and stretches your heart. But within that struggle lies hope, a fierce, glowing hope that lights the way forward. The moon's path this week reminds you that transformation is not just about change, it's about connection. Connection to your own spirit, to the rhythms of the universe, and to the deeper truth of who you are. You are not alone in this. Across the globe, others are feeling this shift, wrestling with the same questions, seeking the same answers. Your story matters. Your reflections, your struggles, your victories, they hold power not only for you, but for those who will hear them. So I invite you now, share your experience. What has this week stirred within you? What truths are you ready to face? Drop a comment below and let your voice be heard. This community is here to support, to uplift, and to remind you that we are in this together. If you found value in this message, please like and share it with someone who needs to hear it too. And if you want to continue walking this path, exploring these cosmic energies and the transformations they bring, subscribe now. There's more coming, deeper insights, powerful guidance, and timely messages designed to help you navigate the tides of change. Remember, the universe is always speaking. The question is, are you ready to listen? Are you ready to step through this gateway and claim the life waiting for you on the other side? This moment is an invitation to rise, to stand firmly in your power, even when the ground beneath feels uncertain. The moon's journey this week is a cosmic mirror, reflecting back the parts of yourself that have been hidden in shadow or softened by doubt. It's asking you to look deeper, to see not only where you have been, but where you are willing to go. There is a profound strength in acknowledging your vulnerabilities. This isn't about perfection or having all the answers. It's about courage, the courage to face discomfort, to challenge old patterns, and to trust the unseen currents guiding you forward. Each step you take now, no matter how small, moves you closer to clarity and freedom. Remember, transformation does not always roar. Sometimes it moves quietly, like a gentle tide reshaping the shore. This week of May 2025 holds that subtle power, one that can quietly undo the knots in your heart and open new pathways for growth. When you feel the pull of this energy, lean into it. Allow it to teach you patience and resilience. I'll see you in the next video.